Good morning. It is Friday the 20th, May 20th, 2020. And I have been in quarantine for 5 days now. Yay! I was thinking this morning that maybe what today's daily devotion should be is about routine and sanity. I was reading this in preparation for this morning, and then I was thinking about my great-grandma and my grandpa and my great-grandma who came over from Sweden. She was 18. And the things that they lived through. And they lived in, on my dad's side, they lived in South Dakota and Nebraska. And they came over from Sweden on the boat, and they traveled wagon train across the United States to set up a farm. And I know a lot of people whose family did that out west here. And I'm in Montana now, so I think it's in my genes to do the wild wander thing. But the specific part that I was thinking about was, I have a love of literature. I have an English degree. And one of the things that I used to love reading about and I was fascinated with for years was how people lived life in hardship. How did they persevere and overcome trials? And, in our modern life, we have rampant depression, we have rampant obesity, we have rampant consumerism, we have all of these things that I can't say they didn't exist back then, but there was a different mindset about some things. And I don't like the mindset of bigotry and second-class citizens and treating poor people like they're dirty, ignorant, horrible people. They had mindsets I don't agree with, obviously. I think we've come much further in that. But it occurred to me that one of the things that was in place culturally, I think, probably saved people from that isolation depression. Because think about it. You're out on a farm, you're out in the middle of no place, and you might not see anybody for months at a time. And routine would be your savior. You get up in the morning, you wash your face, you put your clothes on, even if you're not going to see anybody. You do these things to create routine and constancy in your life. We talk about ASD, autism being, there's more of it, than ever before. But how much of it is that we're noticing because there's so little routine in our lives, and there's so little constancy, and there's so little expectancy for routine. It's like almost like people pride themselves on being so flexible and so chaotic that nothing is normal. And people who have ASD need to get up every morning and wash their face and get dressed, and these are the things they do in the order, because that gives them a sense of peace and consistency. And I'm a person of routine. I mean, I've always prided myself on being somewhat flexible, and I am an artist, so I have a tendency to be a little Mad Hatter-ish, and I know that I am. But I love to know where my things are. Everything, if you look over my shoulder, this is the stuff from my art room from my house, and everything's labeled. Every bin is labeled, not because I'm a neat freak, because I'm certainly not. Anybody who's lived with me knows that. But I need to know where to find things. I need to know where things are. I need to have a sense of routine when I set up to do my artwork. There's a tidiness to it, or my brain can't function properly. And so my thought was, with today's daily devotion, was to talk about, in this time of everybody stuck at home, people's routines are upside down, create the routine that fits you. If getting up at 10 o'clock in the morning is your routine, get up at 10 o'clock. get yourself up, have your cup of tea, have your cup of coffee, have your shower, get yourself dressed. Create a routine in your own home that gives you that place of peace. You know, my grandma, when I lived with my grandma on my mom's side when I was younger, you know, she was a stay-at-home mom, or stay-at-home grandma, I guess. She had her last baby late in life, so in her 40s. And so in her 50s and 60s, she's running around to and from school and activities. And when she came home, so I stayed with her. So she would run Aunt Marion to do things, and then she would come home. And even when we came home, there was a routine. You came in the door. This is what you did. This is how we prepared breakfast. I was actually really sick that year, so I missed a lot of school. So there were a lot of days where I didn't go to school. So there wasn't a routine of school to structure the day. And she knew exactly what to do. And I wasn't homeschooled. She didn't do any schooling. I went to a tutor occasionally. But there was a structure to the day. You know, we took Aunt Mary into things, and then we came home and we did this and this and this and this and this. And then I had quiet time for this amount of time. And then we would talk about stones or rocks or astrology, or she would take me to the post, you know, Monday was post office day. I'm just randomly, like, Monday was post office day. Tuesday was grocery shopping, you know, like, so there was a routine to things, and that made me as a child feel safe. Even though everything was kind of topsy-turvy in my world, I was living with my grandmother. I wasn't living with my parents. I was sick. Even as a young child, I had extreme pain, chronic fatigue. I had real medical issues. And now, you know, 40 years later, we know that it was chronic inflammatory response syndrome. But at the time, we didn't know that. All we knew is that I couldn't function at school in the old moldy building that the school was in. That's a whole nother story. But the fundamental, I'm rambling all over the place, and I apologize. But ultimately, today's daily devotional is what I want people to think of is being grateful with grace and compassion of yourself, that you have the ability to draw on your ancestors' knowledge. Anybody can read some of the old books, the old journals, the old memoirs. Think about, and maybe this is not the correct analogy, but I think of that child, Anne Frank, who she created routine in her isolation. She even wrote about it. There are hundreds of thousands of memoirs and journals out there. Pick an author, pick a time period that goes through some of the hardships that our country and our people have faced. It doesn't matter what country you pick. Somebody's written about it. You know, I took an African literature course in college, and we had to read a couple very interesting books written by Native African Americans who wrote about their culture and wrote about hardship and wrote about their lives. And it doesn't matter where you live on the globe, we have one thing in common. We are all spiritual beings living in a human existence, and we have all had commonalities. And some of those commonalities bind us together because we are human beings. And we have many things in common, no matter what color skin you have, no matter what nationality you have, no matter what religion you believe in. And one of those things, if you really boil it down, we all need structure. We all need a routine that helps us be sane. And it would be very easy to slide into depression and very easy to slide into a feeling of hopelessness and helplessness in this time. So sit down today for your daily devotion and really look at what routines would help you not slide into that place of chaos and desperation. And I really want you to think about the things that bring you joy, the things that you can do that bring you joy. Whether that be, okay, today I'm going to game for 2 hours. You know, we have a fairly long stretch of time that is forecasted that we may have to be in isolation. So whether that be 2 weeks or a month. I don't know. And I'm not going to speculate on that here. But you can eke out those pleasures instead of binging every game you own for 3 days straight and not getting any vitamin D, and not by being outside and not getting yourself sleep and doing the things that hold up your physical body so that you can be in a healthy place if and or when you should get this virus. Get up, get a shower, get yourself moving. Maybe do yoga every morning for a half hour. Maybe then, you're isolated, so it's not like anybody's going to see you. Exercise for an hour every day. If you live in a place where you can get outside, and even if it's in your garden and you walk a circuit 15 times, sing your mantras, do things that give yourself that routine. Okay, I'm going to have breakfast at this time. I'm going to have lunch at this time. I'm going to game for 3 hours this afternoon, and that's my gaming window, and I can play a board game, or I can do video games, or I can watch a movie. Give yourself a limit so that you're not topsy-turvy. I'm actually working still, so I myself am trying to find a routine in my isolation of, because it would be very easy for me, I know myself, to work a little bit in the morning and then work a little bit in the evening, and then I could literally work 24/7 if I didn't limit myself. So I encourage you to find some routine in this. Find a method of organizing your day and put a little time, meditation, and prayer in that. There's a lot of energy shifts going on right now. And those of you that are energy sensitive, those of you that have earth sense, the gift of earth sense, the clairsentience, give yourself time to meditate and allow your personal energy to shift with this global energy. It will help you stay healthy, because if you're fighting a change, if you're fighting an energy shift change, it will make it harder for you to get better if and or when you do get this virus. So I wish you a blessed day, and I will see you tomorrow in Daily Devotions. And I look forward to seeing your comments as to how you have shifted your mindset in your day to accommodate this shift and these changes. Have a blessed day. Blessed be. Bye-bye.